The dark clouds have disappeared from Dunedin, Florida, but just in time for the bringer of rain to arrive. Barry Davis along with Shi Davidi and Josh Donaldson in camp now. A very happy Josh Donaldson for many reasons, but on top of that list seems to be avoiding arbitration.
It was interesting, Barry. As everyone knows, he avoided arbitration with the 2-year deal. And he said that was really important to him because last year, of course, he arrived in camp having gone through arbitration. And arbitration, even though it's not more civil than it used to be, it's still not a great process. And so Josh Donaldson gave this team a lot. He said that he wanted to feel like he'd been taken care of, and the Blue Jays, in giving him that 2-year deal, provided that for him. So he's feeling much better about the business side of things, and that's going to allow him, he feels, to give this team everything he can.
So that's one big rock off the pile for Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, and the Blue Jays organization, but there's still a couple of big ones, and Jose Bautista is front and center.
That's right. And Mark Shapiro was asked about his take on how everything's happened since Jose Bautista's comments on Monday, and he made a point of saying, look, we're going to keep this private, and anything that he has to say about how things have played out will be said to Jose Bautista and not to the general public, which was an interesting way to go about things. But beyond that, he said the whole kerfuffle, described it as part of the landscape. And it is part of the landscape. And the reality is it's probably going to be part of the landscape for the Blue Jay season unless it gets resolved. So that is something this team's going to have to learn to deal with. It's something that Mark Shapiro has had some experience in the past with the Cleveland Indians. He mentioned Jim Thome, Omar Vizquel, was Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia as well. They've gone through this before. Blue Jay fans will be hoping it has a different resolution in Toronto with Bautista than it did in Cleveland with those players.
You mentioned landscape, and this facility here in Dunedin has gone through a few aesthetic changes, but as far as a complete renovation, that is a very high priority for Mark Shapiro, isn't it?
Well, it has been from the moment he arrived. And the interesting way that he put what he wants in a facility is a place that people want to come to 365 days a year to fill their needs. And that is not a description of this facility as it stands right now. It's a place to come and train, and if you get injured, it's where you have to rehab. And nobody wants to rehab. Players never want to get injured. But if they do get injured, they want to be able to feel that they have all the resources that they need here. And interestingly, Marcus Stroman did a lot of his rehab last year at Duke. Part of that was because he was continuing his studies, but it was also because there was a good medical team there, a training team there, a lot of whom have been hired here to join the Blue Jays now and help out with their players. So this is part of a wider strategy for the Blue Jays in terms of providing players with all the facilities, all the resources they need. They had some talks with the city of Dunedin yesterday, said this remains their primary focus to find a solution in this area, and we'll see where things go.
Shapiro also said right now the priority is for the Blue Jays to continue to have their own facility as opposed to sharing it with another organization.